Hi everyone and welcome back or welcome to my channel Stitches Past 5. My name is Vera and here I like to talk about anything that's currently going on in my knitting life, what I'm working on. Sometimes I also share some of the crochet projects I make, and yeah, today I thought I would do another podcast just because it's been a little while since my last podcast episode. Yeah, it's just been like this kind of in-between phase in between summer and autumn, I guess, where some days have been super hot where I literally like could not think about knitting anything larger than socks just because I can't have another blanket on me when it's literally 30 degrees. Where we live, we do not have AC in our apartments, which I know is pretty common in North America. We do not have that luxury and no one really here has that luxury. So yeah, we're very in with the seasons, if you can call it that. Yeah, I think it's kind of, my time's been taking up with kind of trying to enjoy the summer, sitting outside, so there's been a little bit less knitting, but I still do have some finished projects, some projects that I'm still working on, and very exciting, I have one project that is actually like my own design and I'm also in the process of writing a pattern for, and I'm also editing a tutorial, so hopefully I'll post that soon as well. I'll share what that project is just in a second. Yeah, so I think my autumn knits, I've like kind of wanted to get started on them or work on them a little bit more, but it's just been too hot. That being said, right now it looks like the world is ending out there because we're hit with this like polar winds, air, whatever, so the weather is about to change really quickly. It's really literally meant to snow this weekend, which is wild up on the mountains. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, so I'm super excited to get more into the fall knitting. I have turned on a lamp here because the sun's not even meant to set for another 2 hours, but it is so dark outside just because I think the weather is so bad right now. But so hopefully you can still see everything really well that I'm gonna show you. So let's get into my recently finished objects. So the first one I want to share with you are these socks. I have now finally finished them. They were, I think I showed you like one of them in the last episode, but now I made the second one, so now they're officially a finished object. They look humongous, and that's because they are, because I made them for my brother. So the pattern I used for these are, I mean, I guess I didn't really follow the name of the pattern because it's called the Candy Dipped Socks by Twin Stitches Design. And I mean, they're meant to be these like gradient socks, also knitted in much thicker yarn. So like, I don't even know if I can say that I used this pattern. I think I use it as a reference. I use it for the heel construction. So this pattern is actually made for a yarn that has a gauge, for a yarn that has a gauge of 22 by 32 rows per 10 centimeters. And I don't know if you were able to see this, but I made it with just one strand of regular sock yarn, which has a gauge of, I think, around 38 to 40 stitches per 10 centimeters. I knew this going in, and I mean, I know that I need like around 64 stitches in the round, or if I'm making it for a guy or even for myself, I like the 64 stitches in a round. So essentially what I did, I casted on my number of stitches, then I kind of worked 2 by 2 ribbing top down, I created the shaft, and then I only really started looking at the pattern when it came to the heel, because this was a new to me heel construction, which is probably honestly not my favorite heel construction. I really enjoyed this. This is a German short row heel, and it's essentially worked like back and forth, purling, knitting, kind of like in a short row style. And yeah, that's how you shape the heel. There is no picking up stitches when you finish it, so you just kind of like continue with the stitches that you put aside when you first like start the heel. And I thought that was really cool. Like, I also really like the way it looks. I've now blocked these, that's why they're nice and even. And yeah, then, I mean, it's really just a really vanilla sock. The yarn I used was the Hobie sock yarn in this off-white color. And I think they took me a while to finish. I mean, A, because they're socks and they're pretty big and like, that's just a lot of stitches. But also, I don't know, I made one and I was like, oh, I don't know if I love it. I don't know if I want to give this But then I blocked it and I made the second one, and now I think they're actually gonna be really nice, and especially for a guy who probably, you know, isn't gonna wear like all the knit patterns or all those intricate things that other people might enjoy. I think for him, these are gonna be pretty wearable, or at least I hope. So he'll be getting those soon. Yeah, I think the tip is just another regular decreasing tip with a Kitchener stitch at the front. I actually also altered the pattern here, and I did the Kitchener stitch like this way around instead of this way. I think I did it this way first, and it created this really weird like tip of the sock. So I wasn't really a fan, so I kind of did my own thing, changed it, and I'm really happy because now it's like this beautiful rounded off front, yeah, off the sock. So I guess that's my first project. Maybe I'll call them not so candy dipped socks. I will recommend the pattern. The pattern was lovely, it was great. I just I couldn't follow it because the gauge was completely off, and yeah, I mean, I think I have enough sock knitting knowledge to be able to navigate myself around that. But it's a free pattern, and yeah, if you need an easy sock pattern, I really recommend this one. Also, fun fact, the pattern is written so you can work it like toe to cuff or cuff to toe, which I've never seen before in one pattern. Like, that's pretty fun. But yeah, so finished project number 1. Now to the project that I designed myself, and I'm really excited about these. Like I said, it was way too hot to think about making anything larger that was gonna lie on me, so I was kind of focused on smaller knits, on sock knitting mainly. And then I was really inspired because I knew that like the autumn season, Halloween, is kind of like not quite yet around the corner because it's just the beginning of September now, but also that is like kind of like, as knitters, you kind of look a few months ahead, because it'll of course take a while to make these. And so I came up with these super cute pumpkin Halloween socks. I'm really proud of these. I think they're so cute. Yeah, these are essentially also top-down cuff-to-toe socks with a 2 cm rib at the top, and then you go into the color work. And then the heel is also a German short row heel. Like I said, I really enjoyed making it, so I incorporated into this pattern. And then making the foot path and part and the toe, which is right here. This did take a little trial and error, as do most patterns, of course, at the beginning. At the beginning, I kind of like wrote out something first to try it out. And here, I'll actually show you. So this was my first attempt of the sock. And I wanted to do this really cool ribbing that's like a 1x1 orange and black ribbing. But the thing was that the ribbing was not doing what I want ribbing to do. So like here you can see that the ribbing kind of like goes in, and that's like the ribbed effect that it kind of like holds the sock up as well. But here it just kind of did the opposite, where it goes outwards. So it was my first trial of like 1x1 ribbing, and maybe that's just kind of what happens when you do 1x1 ribbing. So essentially here I was trying to knit the black and then purl the orange. And then I said, you know what, I'm probably not going to use this rib, but I'm still going to practice the color work and see how that looks, because at this point I had just kind of drawn it out on my iPad. And I practiced it with this like green detail on the top, green detail at the bottom. And then I also kind of started practice the heel, or kind of just wrote down what I was doing. But then I knew that I wasn't really gonna use this sock, so I stopped here. And I'm glad I did, because I think it just takes a long time to knit that part, and this was really just trial and error. So then this kind of like emerged to this, where we have the 2x2 ribbing at the top that does like kind of act as a bit of a nylon-y or like a stretch part at the top. I also ditched the details at the top because I thought that the green here was just a little bit too much. And then this way I think the pumpkin can really just kind of stand out. And I'm really happy. They're so cute. There are like these little cute smiling pumpkins. And then I like the green detailing at the bottom, just because, yeah, it just kind of finishes off the shaft. And then everything else I kind of kept the same. So I took on a regular tip again, and yeah, Kitchener stitched it this way. So I actually just finished this one earlier today, and I have also just finished making a video tutorial literally showing like every single round where something is going on. So that's something that I will be posting here, and then maybe if you want, you can follow it and make your own cute little pumpkin socks in time for Halloween. Because it's only color work up here, they're actually not that time intensive to work up. Like, of course, this part is like every row is different and you do your color work. But once you get past that, it's really just a normal, regular sock. And yeah, I'm super excited to edit that and to get that up and post it as soon as possible, because of course Halloween is like 6, 7, 8 weeks away. And hopefully people have enough time to make these by then. I'll also make it into a pattern probably on my Etsy, but I do just want it out there on YouTube for free. And yeah, so those are my second finished objects, which I'm super proud of. Like my first self-designed color work socks. Super fun for like the holiday season, I guess. So now on to my works in progress. The first one I also shared in my fall knitting plans video, and I kind of put it at the end as like, if I get around to this, it'd be great. If not, no worries. But because it's been literally 30 degrees until like a few days ago, at least during the day, I could not think about making sweaters. So I started another sock. These are, oh, I'm so excited about these. This pattern is just gorgeous. These are called the Boyland Socks, and the pattern is by the 52 weeks of socks book. And I mean, I talked about the book briefly before, but I kind of got it, then I went through and I was like, oh my goodness, these are such intricate sock patterns that I do not have time to make. They're literally gorgeous, like lace pattern socks, all different kind. And these kind of just stood out because of the color. So I went out to my local yarn shop and I asked if they have like these color combinations, and they had everything except for the green. The green is a little bit darker. These are the Regia tweed, or Regia, I'm not really sure how you pronounce this. Yeah, this is the Regia, I don't know, tweed yarn 4-ply, and again, the gauge is around 38 to 40 stitches per 10 centimeters. It's a little bit different in the color work just because of how the tension kind of changes a little bit. I think it'll like even out after blocking. And yeah, I asked for recommendations for sock yarn and then literally went on to buying this. So I still have your recommendations. Thank you for those, and I will try those out. But because I needed such specific colors for this, and I'm glad I chose the colors because this is looking amazing. Yeah, I just kind of went for it, and luckily they had the colors. Like, I was so happy. And yeah, so I'll probably like not work on these too much. Maybe if I need something small, maybe if I'm traveling, I'll keep working on these. But so excited. This sock yarn is also good. Like, this is a nice sock yarn. It's not too scratchy. It's like pretty soft. Oh, I'm excited. I do love making socks. I think I've kind of found my love for making socks again. So yeah, that's my first work in progress. That's probably gonna be just kind of chilling on the side, in between projects, whenever. Okay, then my next major work in progress, which I already shared last podcast episode, is this beautiful sweater. And honestly, the more I make it, the more I'm super excited about it. So let me show you. It's this sweater with these, I just finished the first sleeve yesterday, with these beautiful like ballooning sleeves. So the pattern is the Cloud Sweater by Kutovakika. It is in her book, and essentially it's 2 strands of a mohair yarn held together. I'm not using the mohair yarn that she recommends in her pattern. I'm using the mohair yarn that's like a silk mohair blend from Hobie, and I'm super excited about it. I'm holding 2 strands together, so I'm holding these 2 together, which is one is the navy blue and one is a very dark blue, and it just gives this beautiful like marbling effect. which I think is super pretty, and I'm just so excited about this sweater. Like I said, I haven't really been working on it for too much because it's just too much on me. Like it was so warm, and even just trying it on, like I could try it on for like 2 minutes and then I had to take it off because it was so warm, which I guess will be nice for, I guess, starting tomorrow because it'll literally be 4 degrees and snow. I don't know if we're gonna get an autumn. I know I talked about autumn knits in a whole video, but I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. Stay tuned. So yeah, the pattern is the Cloud Sweater by Kutovakika, and it calls for, I'm a bit confused by the pattern, I'm not gonna lie. So it calls for a gauge of 18 stitches by 28 rounds on 10 by 10. So I did a gauge swatch and I completely missed gauge, like it was really off, and I thought, okay, maybe because I'm using a different yarn. It's all like, her gauge swatch is on a 4mm needle. So yeah, so then I did it with a 4mm needle and I was literally at like way too many stitches per 10 centimeters, and I blocked it, did the whole thing because I wasn't really sure how the mohair was gonna behave, or this specific yarn. I've just never worked with it before. Completely off. So then I'd switched up a whole needle size to a 5mm needle, and then I hit gauge more or less. And then, I mean, it's such an oversized sweater, so I knew that like one stitch more or less, like I would just have to like adjust my sizing a little bit and just kind of be mindful of it, but that wasn't gonna be like me not being able to wear this sweater. The only thing with this gauge that I do not understand is that she gets 28 rows in 10 centimeters and I literally get 23. That's a huge difference. So I'm not really sure if my knitting is just really off. I mean, I never have issues with other gauge swatches, so I'm not really sure how she gets 28 rows into 10 centimeters where I get 23. I do not understand it. So I've had to adjust the pattern a little bit, just like on the increases and decreases, mainly on the arms. It is like a drop down shoulder construction, work bottom up. And yeah, it's worked on like 3 and 4mm needles according to the pattern, but I'm working it on a 4 and a 5mm needles just because of the whole gauge situation. I'm using like a similar yarn as her, so I'm not really, I don't know. I don't know what's happening. But I've tried it on a bunch of times, making it, obviously being conscious of the fact that I might hit a very different size to what she's making, and it's been totally fine. So I'm making the size S, which matches my measurements, but even the suggested positive ease is like way more than what I have it, and for me it's already baggy. I guess it's just designed to be a really baggy sweater. I don't know, I like baggy, but I don't love like super baggy, so I've tried to reduce the bagginess. Maybe usually I will also make mediums in certain garments. It kind of always depends. For this one, small is perfect, and because I have that gauge situation, I really don't know if that's a good reference point at all. It's working out for me, and I'm not gonna give you like very good tips of like, if you're making this pattern, size down, size up. I have no idea. I think I did like 3 or 4 gauge swatches because I couldn't figure it out. But now it's working quite well. And yeah, one more sleeve to go. Super excited for this to be done. And I love the color. I think every time I talk about this sweater, I'm so happy with my color choice. In her pattern, she uses this like cream color, and that's just not good for me. I'm pretty pale, so I need strong colors. So yeah, that's my cloud sweater in the making, pattern by Kutovakika, and yeah, hopefully done by the next podcast episode. All right, so moving on to what I'm gonna be casting on next. I have 2 projects that I kind of want to get started sooner rather than later, and I'm not honestly sure yet which one I want to start first, because in all honesty, most of my knitting time, which has been a little bit less lately just because of the warm last few days of summer, which is totally fine. Yeah, so I've just been really focused on the socks and getting those done, and kind of just wanting to have that project finished. I think last time I shared that there's just so many whips going on, so many works in process, and I feel just like I need to finish some of these first, so I've been focusing on that. I think once the blue cloud sweater is finished, I'm gonna cast on one of 2 things, and the first one is the zipper sweater light. Man by Petite Knit, and it's essentially this half, or I guess it's a quarter zip, I guess it's a quarter zip sweater with this high constructed neck. Obviously it's not for myself, it is for my partner. I already have the wool for it that I got on my recent trip to Scotland, which is these blue-faced Leicester fleece wool. This one is a DK weight wool, so it's knit on 4mm needles, and it's meant to get, or on the tag it says it'll get you 22 stitches and 28 rows. So I haven't made a gauge swatch for it yet, so that's next on the list of things to do, and then I'll probably get started making the sweater. I think it's gonna be a really warm sweater with this wool because it's like 100% just British wool. So it'll be like an outdoor sweater for my partner. I did just make him an outdoor sweater, which he hasn't been able to wear that much because it's been quite warm. So maybe actually I'll do the other project first. But this one he really wants. We're just struggling to find a zipper. So I've gone to a lot of craft stores in my town and they have zippers, but not the one I need, like not the length I need. And I think with this pattern, I haven't bought it yet, but I don't know, you need a 35cm zipper, and I do not want to decrease that to a 25cm because I think that's a pretty big difference. And yeah, I think I'll probably just end up ordering one online that looks nice. I know Petite Knit also sells them, so maybe I'll just order it off there and then hopefully it'll, you know, get there sooner rather than later so I can kind of visualize it first. So yeah, so maybe that project though, like I said, will be put on hold for now because I want to make something for myself. I think I often just don't make that many things for myself, but I do really want to make this, and it is the honeycomb cardigan by Kutovakika as well. I mean, I knit a lot of her stuff just because I have her book and I really like a lot of her designs. And I'm actually thinking of doing like a book review because I have made like a lot of her things and I think I have a pretty good understanding of it. So maybe that will be a future video. But for this one, yeah, so this cardigan, I mean, I talked about it before and I want to make it in this yarn, which is the Drops Air. Yeah, it's essentially, like, I think it's like a constructed cardigan, which you kind of have to sew together. I don't really mind. And yeah, I want to make it in this yarn, which calls for a 5mm needle, and it gets you to 17 stitches, but it is worked on a half fisherman's rib stitch, so I'll have to like gauge swatch and figure out if this is even usable for that. I think it is from what I kind of read. And yeah, I kind of don't really have a cardigan and I would really love one that I can just wear when it gets colder, wear to the office. And yeah, I haven't made something in half fisherman's rib stitch in forever, so I'm a little bit just apprehensive. It'll probably just take me a little bit longer getting the hang of it again. Probably have to watch a few YouTube tutorials to just make sure that I'm doing the right thing. But I think this is such a cute cardigan, and oh, I'm just kind of itching for a cardigan, and I want to make something, and I want to make it for myself and kind of now, but I have to finish the blue sweater first. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna cast on, probably within the next week or two. So then really quickly at the end, I also want to share one of my acquisitions. I mean, I don't buy yarn too often. I kind of buy yarn as I need it. I do not have a big yarn stash. I do not have a big yarn shelf. I have a little bit just for projects that are kind of like on my list. So I have yarn like this lying around in sweater amounts, but not really more than that. So I try to hold off buying yarn just because I like it. I try to write it down and then find a project to make out of it first. That's kind of like how my logic in terms of yarn buying works. But I did treat myself to this 52 weeks of knits, of easy knits. So this is my new acquisition. So I got this book and it was just one of these like long things with Amazon. Yeah, but essentially this is a book. I think they're pretty popular, this series. And yeah, it's supposed to be just like 52 relatively easy to knit books. They have different classification of like how easy is easy. Like they acknowledge that like what's easy for me might not be easy for you, might not be easy for someone else. So it's really nice they acknowledge that, and they just kind of like have like a super easy label. are the things that are like easier than the other ones, I guess. And essentially, oh, it's just such a beautiful knitting book, and I'm really excited. Like, I mean, I'm probably never gonna make all 52 of these items, but I'm just really excited for inspiration. Like, this is what's on the cover, and it has all these really fun knits that aren't gonna just like be super complicated, that are modern, and just kind of like bought it on a whim. Like, I've been pretty into like knitting books, and I have most of them digitally. In fact, I have all of them digitally except for this one now. And oh, there's just something so nice about a book and being able to look at it. I mean, I print out most of my patterns that I make anyways, so it'll just kind of be nice to be able to go through it and maybe write some notes down and everything. Nothing of this planned as of yet, so it's just kind of gonna be one of these things. If I need inspiration, I'll have a look, and I'll definitely be making some of these items because they're beautiful, but not just yet. I have some other things that I want to get done first. Okay, so I think that already brings us to the end of today's video of this podcast. Again, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I'd love for you to leave a comment down below, to give it a like, and maybe also to subscribe. That helps me a lot. Yeah, I think it's a weird transitional phase between summer and autumn, and in Austria's case, in the mountains, already winter. They're literally expecting 2 meters of snow at the mountains, and I don't know if I'm ready for snow. Just like we just had like the peak of summer. But anyways, I guess for knitting it's kind of fun because you get to wear your knit jumpers a lot earlier than you normally would. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'll leave it at that for today. Take care, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!